Peg 23, end peg, I'm happy with that. Not sure how many nets I'm going to need today, probably 4 or 5, hopefully more than that. It's a mega draw today, this is. I'm going to be really disappointed if I don't, well, at least frame, if not win the match. Really fancy it. Not the best of starts, but still a long way to go. Oh, kidding me, come on! They're all catching. This is a disaster. We're not putting this out, just forget about it. Get that out of my face. We've all been there, drawn an absolute flyer and then messed it up. I'm at Westwood Lakes, where I was at the weekend just 3 days ago. I drew peg 23 on Falcon where we are today, end peg in a very tightly pegged match, and to be honest I thought I was going to walk the match. I made some mistakes, I made a lot of mistakes, and we're back today to try and put things right. It's not a match now. I know it's not going to be exactly the same conditions. The fish, obviously, we're going to catch a few more fish. It's not about how many fish we catch though. It's more what I did wrong, the mistakes that I made, and then the sort of things that if I fished the match again, I wouldn't do. So where I fished my lines, the baits that I've fed, and there's a couple of things, like tiny little things that made a massive, massive difference. And I think once we explain those to you, hopefully you won't make the same mistakes when you draw a flyer, and you'll do a little bit better than I did. So we're going to get some bait in, fish a few of the different lines, and just talk you through exactly what went wrong. So before I come on Sunday, I asked a few of the regulars down here what to do. Everyone was like, start on pellet down the edge, you'll catch 2 or 3 quick fish, and then obviously you can catch some fish in the middle, you can fish across, there's loads of other options. So what I did on Sunday was exactly that. Started on pellet, down the edge, and to be honest, I don't think I quite understood that get a couple of quick fish and then do something else. So I spent an hour fishing it. So I think that was the first mistake. When I spoke to people afterwards, it was like, no, just get a couple of fish and then leave it, so it should be sat waiting for bites for too long. So mistake 1 was not listening to the advice. And mistake 2 was where I fished my edge line. So being the end peg, I was thinking really clever. I'm like, right, I've got loads of room down this side of me. So what I'll do is I'll fish long and then I kind of make the most of that room. What happened was, it was a lot more windy than this, which it often is here at Westwood Lakes, and I couldn't present my rig properly because it was blowing about a lot more than I wanted to. And also what I found later on in the match was I couldn't feed it regularly. So obviously when I was fishing that line, I was putting bait in on it. It didn't turn out to be my main catching line. My main catching line was in the middle. So I've got an edge line that I'm then not feeding. Other people around me, I could see them chucking bits of bait in and stuff like that, and then they'd drop on their edge line and they'd catch a fish, whereas because mine was so far away from me, I couldn't catapult bait because I couldn't keep it tight enough into the edge. Couldn't throw bait because it was too far away. The wind was blowing this way and it was headwind. So that was a massive, massive mistake that I made, and one that I'm going to try and rectify today. So what I've done is I've plumbed up a top kit +1. So I'm going to start on pellet exactly the same, but in my mind I'm going to fish pellet, catch a couple of fish, and then I'm going to start throwing maggots there, because here at Westwood Lakes, maggot is a really, really good tactic. Some of the people who do well here all the time, that is the only bait they fish. They'll just come with maggots, they'll fish down the edge, they'll fish shallow or across with maggots, and they do really well. So I'm going to start on pellet down there, and then I'm going to throw some maggots in, and hopefully by being able to feed it regular, even when I'm not fishing it, I'll keep dropping on and catching some fish, which is something that I couldn't do at the weekend. So I'm going to pop in a few micros. I've got a 6mm expander on the hook, just fishery micros here, so I'm using them. I'm going to drop that in just away from the bank. I think the banks have actually collapsed a little bit here, and to try and get tight in, there's just not a flat spot or a good area anywhere. So I've come probably 12 inches off the bank. But it's probably a little bit deeper than I would have liked. I think if it was really hot in summer, obviously it's April now and the fish are not really in that shallow water. But I think in summer you'd have to try and find somewhere really tight to the bank. But I think for today, the session that we've got here, that was a bite straight away, an indication. I think being off the bank a little bit is not going to make too much difference. Then we'll try that maggot line in the middle. I'm going to feed the maggot line was the one that I caught the best on, but it was probably the biggest lesson. The one thing that I think so many people get wrong, and when I explain it to you now, I can't say it's like a master stroke that I did that I got it dead right, but it's just something I stumbled upon, and as soon as I put it right, it's just like flicking a switch. Went from getting silly bites, fair looking fish, and then I've caught on it really well. But yeah, we'll explain that when we get on that middle line a bit later. For now, I'm going to try and catch some fish down this edge. There we go, that didn't take long. Feels like a decent fish as well. Got a couple of little indications there, and then that's a nice F1 that is. Yeah, a couple of little indications, and that's nailed it straight away. Perfectly up in the top lip. Like that. It's a nice big F1. So what I do, I'm dropping there again, hopefully catch one or two more down there. I'm priming that maggot line, which was my main catching line on Sunday. So I'm going to keep flicking some maggots over on that line, and then we'll talk you through the big mistakes that I made with that one. But yeah, presentation and everything on this closer line seems a lot better. So as long as the fish can keep coming, then I think that would be obviously the first mistake that I made, put right in my head. There we go, that's another one. Again, we're not having to wait too long for that. It's another F1. Nice F1s in here as well, they're worth catching. It's got 10 to 12 slick for a short kit. It's perfect for these size of fish. Just need to be better at netting them. There we go. So that's two fish I've had down there. I'm going to have one more put and just see how long it takes. That's two fish I've had down there. I'm going to have one more put, see if we get another fish. But I'm quite conscious that I don't want to be waiting a long time for a bite down there. So I'm priming that maggot line. I can already see there's some bubbles and stuff coming over there. It's obviously fizzing up, there's some fish on there. So I'm going to have one more put here. If I've got to wait more than 4 or 5 minutes for a bite, I think what I'll do is get straight on that maggot line and then start feeding maggot by hand on this one. There's obviously some fish coming into it, coming into these pellets, so yeah, see how long this one takes. And I'm looking forward to getting on that other line. That feels like it might be a bigger fish, might be a carp, that one. Did have to wait longer for that bite though, so already I can feel like it's very similar to Sunday. I did this on Sunday, I caught a fish, caught another one. And they're decent fish when you catch them, but in terms of what fish I was putting in the net, with every fish down that edge early on, it's taking longer and longer to get that next one. I ended up had 6 fish in the first hour, and other people were catching more. So it's like you're getting bites and just enough to keep you interested, but probably not enough in terms of what you're catching compared to other people. And that's a big F1, that is. Probably the biggest F1 that I've caught out of here. That's a proper lump. They're the ones you want to be catching down the edge. It's a really chunky fish. That's got to be £4, I think. It's a really fat, lovely F1. They're the match winners, as long as you don't make too many mistakes. Well, I've had 3 fish down that edge for probably, I'd say about £8. So it started very similar to the match you did on Sunday, as I mentioned. So I'm not going to plunder that now and just keep fishing it because I can feel already that it's taking longer to get a bite. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start loose feeding some maggot on there, because then that way there's bait going in. That's the thing, when I fished my line long on Sunday, I couldn't do that. Whereas today, I can just keep flicking a few maggots down the edge there, then hopefully every time I drop on it, I can catch fish because they'll be there feeding with confidence. I'm going to go on that middle line now. So I've been loose feeding maggot on there for the last, 15-20 minutes. There's fish fizzing and activity on there already. So hopefully I can get straight in there. We can catch some fish on there. I had some barbel on Sunday. This area is quite noted for barbel. And they're good fish as well. I had skimmers, I had some little tench, I've had F1s, I've had carp. So I'm hoping that we'll get some fish pretty quickly. It's on there straight away. I just dipped again then. There's definitely some fish in the area there. I don't know whether there'll be barbel, skimmers. But I've plumbed up, so it's just to the bottom float. So there's probably, I'm probably just on the bottom. I'll have a bite. So obviously I want to be on the bottom for the skimmers, carp and all sorts. One thing I didn't do on Sunday, let's say it was windy Sunday and it was a cold wind, and I didn't set a shallow rig up. And when I walked around and watched people weighing afterwards, there was somebody on the far side of the lake who I can't see them from where I'm fishing today, and I couldn't see them in the match. So I said, that's a nice fish, that's a nice carp. And he's caught shallow, and it's something I've not even set a rig up for, I've not even thought about, to be honest. It's a lovely mirror. So I've fished a maggot line, I've fished it through the water, and I've not even set up a shallow rig. So I've set one up today, just hooked that fish then, and I've seen fish swirl out of my peg. So I've obviously hit something higher up in the water. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep fishing this. Obviously there's one mistake, quite obvious one, that I made on Sunday on this maggot rig, which it looks quite similar to what was happening there. The bottom's fizzing up and stuff, so I'll talk about that in a little while. But I'm also going to drop a shallow rig over that line at some point today. And again, if I catch on the shallow rig, I'll be kicking myself because I didn't do it on Sunday. And it's just about covering all eventualities in a match. So even if you think it might not work, if you can set up a rig for it, then if need be, you can just pick it up and try it. Especially with these ready-made rod cases and hard cases and everything that we're all using these days. It's so easy to have a couple of shallow rigs just set up on short kits. You can just grab them out. There's no excuses really why I didn't do it. I kind of made decisions about my match before I'd even got to my peg. thought, oh, I'll catch more by fishing my edge line longer. I thought it's too windy and it felt cold. I thought I won't catch shallow today. And these are all things that I've just decided before I even put a bait in the water. And they've ended up costing me winning the match. A nice bite then. Feels a little bit different. I don't think this is a... It might be a carp now. I was going to say it come in a little bit easy then. It didn't feel like a carp. It's behaving a bit more like one now. Again, I've seen another fish swirl over where that maggot line is. Oh, it is a bar. Well, yeah, I thought it felt a little bit different. So this maggot line's really effective. You catch barbel, carp, and all sorts. Tench, skimmers. They're going in a lot bigger than that. So probably £1.5, £2. Lovely fish there. Had them out the weekend probably to £4. But yeah, nice little fish. And again, 10 to 12 elastic, this slick. For a short kit, barbel often are quite difficult to get up. You'll get them in close and then you can't get the heads up. But I think for a short kit, you've not got quite as much elastic. So this 10 to 12 works really well. Then likewise, it's really good for skimmers, them little tench. For this sort of fishing, when you're not quite sure what you're going to catch, it is my go-to elastic. Doing a bit of everything. Got a strung out shotting on there. So it's just falling through the water. And saying just to plumbed up to the bottom of the float body. So I've got a bit of line on the bottom. Found when you are catching barbel, if you put too much line on the bottom, you have a problem with fair looking them as they're swimming about, tend to hook them underneath and in the fins in the side and stuff. There's a bite again straight away. But yeah, that plumbing up is really, really important, which is something I'm going to touch upon in a little while. Quite similar to on Sunday, I've gone on that maggot line and I've caught really well. So I've had probably 45 minutes, 50 minutes catch on there really well, and I'm missing bites now. Fair luck and lost a couple of fish as well. What I did on Sunday was I was changing my feeding now. I was like feeding twice and then I was like cutting it right back and stuff like that, trying to work out exactly what was going on. There's been loads of fizzing exactly the same. I was late working it out on Sunday, but what I did then was I put a plummet on, put my rig out, and I've gone from seeing the whole of my body of my float and the tip, put a plummet out, dropped it in, float's disappeared. So I've gone from thinking that I'm fishing like 2 inches on the bottom to I'm fishing off the bottom, which is why I was fair looking fish and missing bites. So obviously that's experience. I should have known that, but I was late working it out. I'm just going to drop this down that line again now because straight away I've missed some bites. I failed the carp and lost it. So I'm going to drop that in now. Exactly where I've been fishing. They've been fizzing over there. And you can just see the tip of my float. So I've gone from having my body of my float out and the tip to just the top of the tip. So it's probably, my swim has probably gone yeah, a good 2 inches deeper, just where they're stirring that silt up and everything like that. It's quite, I mean, there's a lot of silt in these lakes, but again, that's completely changed the way that my rig's presented and the way that I'm fishing over that bait. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to whiz that back. I'm going to move that float up now so it's back to where it originally was. So if I slide that up, probably another 1.5 inches, pop that back out there, and then we should hopefully be back to where we originally was. Yes, so it's just plumbing up to the bottom of the body of the float again now. And again, that was one of the big mistakes that I made. I probably cost myself, I'd say 40 minutes, 45 minutes at the weekend, messing about trying to fix things with that line when it was something so simple that I just needed to pop a plummet on, re-plumb up, check the depth, and then I could have potentially, within 5 minutes, been back out there catching fish. When you think that I lost the match by £10 on Sunday, and I've fished my edge wrong, I've fished that middle line wrong, as in I've not presented it properly. The feeding was right, like there's fish in the peg, I'm catching fish, and then my rig's been completely wrong because it's not been fishing in the right depth. So them two things, when you think I only need £10, is probably 4 fish, 4 F1s, 4 carp. Such a simple mistake has cost me a match. I've ended up 6th in the match and £10 off winning it. So it's a really tight match. Little mistakes like I'm making, they cost you at the end of the day. It's like you're fishing against good anglers, and then we've often said, like, bad angler on a good peg, a good angler on a bad peg can beat them, and that's what's happened to me on Sunday. But obviously I put that right. I'm going to drop back on there now, see if I catch fish straight away, which I think I will do now my rig's proper, and then I'm going to put a shallow rig over there. I've been feeding bait, I've had little indications, I've seen a couple of fish swirl. So again, that'll be another thing that I didn't do on Sunday that hopefully I can get right in my head for next time I come. That maggot line on the bottom there, especially since I plumbed up, has been a lot better. I had a couple of fish on there as soon as I changed the depth. Got it right again, I've gone in there, I've had a skimmer and then a carp, so that's really good. I know that's working. So what I'm going to do now is just put this shallow rig over, set it probably about 14, 15 inches deep that is. So I'm going to drop that in there. Probably going to change this feeding a little bit because I've been trying to keep them on the bottom, so I've been giving them one pouch and then just sitting on it. So what I'm going to do is probably just introduce a little bit more regular. Hopefully them fish that are milling about, they'll just concentrate in that area a little bit more. We can catch some shallow. But this is something that I didn't try at all on Sunday, just because I thought it was too cold. Obviously the fish didn't agree. So I'll drop that in there. We'll flick a bit of bait over there and see if we can catch some shallow. That was a bite. And that just comes as soon as I fed, so they're obviously coming into the bait. Two red maggots on the hook. One of our carp shallow floats. Just a bulk just above 6-inch hook length. There we go, that was a bite. Definitely some fish there. There we go. Look at that. That's unbelievable. And to think I didn't even set up a shallow rig on this peg just a few days ago. Lovely F1. You should be happy when you catch these, but to be honest, I'm just annoyed with myself. Look at that look. Oh dear. I'm going to be having nightmares tonight. I'm dreaming about catching F1 shallow. I'll try that again. Double maggot. A size 16 hook on here. You could probably fish a little hook with a band and just put a dead maggot in it. You'll probably catch doing that as well. But it's not so much the rigs and stuff that's important today. It's more just working out where the fish are and what they're doing. Look at that, it's just gone straight away again. And they are off the bottom. Straight away. I don't even think I need to feed that much. I think they're just there. And the peg's been so similar to it was at the weekend that it's hard to say it's just because I'm pleasure fishing today. Obviously it's going to make it a little bit better. But the edge has behaved exactly the same. The maggot line's been exactly the same on the deck. So I've got nothing to tell me that this wouldn't have worked on Sunday. There we go. Another F1. An angry F1 that is. Again, 10 to 12 slick just compensates for those lunges. That really tore off there. But then within a few seconds it's in the net. I absolutely love this elastic for catching a variety of species. So versatile. I've used it in the edge. I've used it on the bottom. I've caught barbel. And now I'm using it shallow. Unless I was going to a venue and catching loads of big fish or it's snaggy or anything like that. I use it for pretty much everything at this time of year. I'll try again. So that's 2 in 2 puts shallow. See if I get 3 out of 3. Just to really annoy myself. There we go. That one upped itself. Just trying to hold it as tight as I can do. More of an F1 so far that I've had up in the water. I've not had any carp. This feels a decent fish. Try and get around the back of my nets. A nice F1. So that's 3 in 3 puts. I think, the whole point of today is not here to be here catching loads and loads of fish. We've only put 1 net in today as well. We're not trying to empty the lake, but I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to catch 1 more out there, and then I'm really interested in dropping in that short line, that edge line where I've been feeding them maggots, just to see if they're coming there and whether I can catch some. Yeah, like 1 more out there and then give it a go. Right, well that shallow line was really good. Obviously there's a lot of fish on there, they're off the bottom. We've caught a few on there. The last thing I want to try is this edge line. I've been loose feeding some maggots down there. I really fancy this for a few fish now, especially knowing that they're really responding to maggots. So I just keep chucking a few in down there by hand. Got in there. I've got 2 rigs set up for the edge. That's a bite straight away. So this is more what you'd expect for an edge rig, which is like your bulk just above a hook length. But I've also set up a strung one just to lay it in against the shelf. That's where it slopes off. I don't know whether that one will be better today. So it's something that I didn't do at the weekend. I only set up this 1 margin rig just for a bulk. But that's what I thought with maggots dropping through the water. kind of the lighter, bit more refined approach might be better. So I've got two different rigs to try. But we're starting on this more sort of the go-to margin rig now, with the bulk just above the hook length. That's a bite again. There's definitely some fish there. Fish swirled as well then as I missed it. A few more maggots down there. Could potentially, now I'm fishing it, I could pot them so they're a little bit tighter. Being as I've been throwing them in anyway while I've been feeding the shallow line and fishing the sort of that longer maggot line, I thought I'd just start off doing the same thing as I'm already doing, just throwing it by hand. There we go, didn't take long. Did miss a couple of bites though before I had that one. I've had a few indications. I thought it was going to go straight away. It's like as soon as I put it in, there's indications. I missed 2 bites that seemed like proper good bites. I'm just not convinced that this rig is right for maggot fishing. So what I'm going to do, obviously there's some fish there, so I'm going to pick up that other rig, the strung out one, try that down the edge and see if I get a better response from that one. Because we know the fish is there. I don't want to plunder it with this one and just keep going, because obviously the idea today is to put right all the mistakes that I made at the weekend. So which one was it? There we go, that's the one. Yeah, so nice strung out one. So that's one of the stubby slims, 0.4 gram, strung out, shot him. So that way I can just drop it in away from the bank and just let it fall up that slope nice and slowly. Hopefully we'll get a few, especially F1s and stuff. They like to see it dropping through the water. So we'll give it a go, see what it's like. Just flick it away from me, and I'm just going to pull it in towards the edge and just hold it there. Drop a few maggots over the top. Hoping that goes straight away. That was a bite straight away, that was. Again, I've missed 2 bites, but they're obviously looking at going through the water, because that's just gone instantly. There we go, straight away. That's ridiculous how much difference that rig's made. Just that small change of a rig. It's a different shotting style. Going through the water a little bit differently. And I've had 2 bites. Literally just as it was settling. Dropped it in again, and then we've had one straight away. That's a really nice F1 that is as well. Again, this is something I didn't try at the weekend. I was persevering with the bulk rig, thinking that that was the best. Which I've proved you can catch fish on it. I mean, I dropped that bulk rig in down the edge there and I caught a fish on it. So it works, but that was just so much different. It's literally like, put it in, bite, put it in, bite, put it in, F1. I'm going to drop that in again. Just flick a few maggots in there. I don't think they like you feeding on top of the float. I'm going to feed now, just while I'm baiting up. Give them a minute just to settle. 2 red maggots on a 16. I'll drop this in and see if it's as instant. Again, away from me, pull it into the slope. Got a mark on the far bank that I'm lining up with. There we go. That's another one. Again, just as it was settling. By dropping it away from the slope, and then it come back into it. Getting a bite every single time I drop it in. Another F1. Lovely fish. There we go. And because I've been dropping their maggots in that line all the time, while I've been fishing that deeper maggot line and then the shallow line, the fish are there. It's not like I'm starting the edge line again, trying to build it up, which is what I was doing at the weekend. By fishing it a long way away from me, I was not dropping bait in all the time. I was on there, I've been throwing a few maggots in by hand. Well, I've been out there probably like fishing for an hour or so out there, and then I've dropped back on there and there's a fish that's there instantly. The strung out rig's working loads better than the bulk one, so I feel like the edge now, all the mistakes I made at the weekend, I feel like I've got it all right now. I feel like the rig's right, the feeding's right, fishing it nice and close to me, so my presentation's a lot better. I'm catching a lot of fish on it. That's a bite straight away again. There we go. That's a little bit better one. I think what we'll do is get this one in. I don't want to sit here all day catching fish. I'm not actually very warm. So we'll get this in and then we'll just have a look at what we've done, things that we've put right today. And then hopefully, next time you fish a match, draw an absolute screamer like I did, you won't mess it up. A nice fish to end on, another F1 on that light rig down the edge. Been a really interesting couple of hours fishing. And basically everything that I think should have happened, things that I think I did wrong at the weekend, they've all kind of worked out how I thought they should have done really. So just to recap, I fished my edge line too far. Couldn't present a rig how I wanted to. I couldn't feed it regularly enough by hand, so I brought that shorter and it's worked. Okay, the presentation's been loads better. I've been chucking maggots on it regularly and I've caught on well on that. The rig I used at the weekend was just a really positive rig, just with a bulk above a 4-inch hook length, and that wasn't right. It's like I was getting loads of indications and stuff. I could tell there was fish there, but I just didn't catch them. Dropped a lighter rig on there, strung out shot away from the shelf, just let it pull in, and I've actually been catching them on the drop. F1's down there, it's been absolutely solid that last sort of half an hour that I've been down there. The maggot line down the middle was my best line on Sunday, so I was quite confident that I was going to come and catch on that again. So I've done that. Obviously the big mistake that I made on Sunday was not plumbing up regularly enough, and that's the one thing that I think cost me more than anything, because that was my best line, and obviously the fish have been feeding, they've stirred up all the silt, and the swims I've probably got like 2 or 3 inches deeper during the day. So by regularly plumbing up on that line, that can be the difference between catching and not. So having the depth marked on your top kit or a shot on your line or anything like that, however you like to keep the depth sort of marked on your rigs, but that's fine. But if the swim gets deeper, then what do you do then? So just if you're not sure, if you're getting bites that are not proper, or you just things have changed a little bit, it takes seconds just to put a plummet on, stick it out there, plumb up, and then as I did today, stick 2 inches on, and it just transformed it. I've just been in and catching fish after fish after fish again. And then the other thing is just be prepared for every eventuality. The weekend I didn't set a shallow rig up, massive mistake. The conditions are really, really similar today. So we've got that cold wind on it, sat here in a hoodie, and honestly I could do with a coat on today. It's really cold. It doesn't look like the sort of day you're going to catch shallow. We're in April still, it's not even like it's scorching hot. So I didn't set a rig up on Sunday for shallow fishing. I've done it today, I've dropped in it, and I've had like 4 or 5 fish straight away. And I've not been getting like loads of bites and indications to make me think there's loads of fish shallow, but there's just a little sign. Every now and again I'd see a fish swirl when I was playing another one, and I was like, well, I'm obviously knocking some fish up in the water. And then every now and again my float did move a little bit, that I thought, yeah, it's probably the same on Sunday. I just didn't pick up on the signs, but when I spoke to people after the match and they said that they've caught shallow, I'm just like, why don't I try it? It's like, I can even leave the shallow rigs in a top kit case all done ready, just pick them out and try them. So why I didn't do it, I don't know, but it's cost me the match. But that's worked today. So if I was going to come back and fish the match again this weekend and I drew a similar peg, I'd be very confident that I'd get it right. But hindsight's a wonderful thing. I got it wrong in the match, messed up an absolute flyer of a peg, which has cost me money. But we never get it right, do we? We're here to learn. I've learned plenty today. I learned at the weekend, and hopefully on the next match I'll put it right. But hopefully you'll learn a few things too, and you won't make the same mistakes that I've done. But yeah, good luck on your next match, and hopefully you do better than I did.